Episode 214, Meaningful Connection with LeAnn Austin.
Welcome to Latter-day Life Coaches, the podcast where each episode is a conversation between me, Heather Rackham, and one of my amazing coach colleagues. Each coach here is a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and a highly trained, experienced life coach making a great impact in the lives of their clients. And together, we have one main goal, helping you live your best life no matter what. You ready for this conversation with a coach? Here we go.
In this inspiring episode, Coach LeAnn Austin shares how balancing the mind, body, and spirit is foundational for meaningful connections. Using the analogy of a three-legged stool, she explains how intentional focus on these areas can lead to greater harmony in life. LeAnn introduces her Connection Blueprint, a practical guide to fostering connection within yourself and others. Together, Heather and LeAnn discuss the importance of creating safety in the body, the central nervous system's role in connection, and why self-love is essential for healthy relationships. They also draw inspiration from Michelle Craig's talk, Spiritual Capacity, and highlight how spiritual work strengthens intuition and personal growth. Please enjoy.
Hey everyone, we are a couple weeks into 2025 and I hope the year is going fantastically for all of you. I think today's topic is going to be a great one as far as kind of where people's minds are focused a lot of times as we kind of have a fresh beginning on things. But to talk about that with me today is Coach LeAnn Austin. Hello. I almost said hello, Coach, but I guess that would work.
That's right. Hello, Heather. Yes, Coach. Yes.
How you doing, LeAnn?
So good. So good to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for being here with me. I think I spy your book back there. LeAnn's the author of a book, and I can see it sitting behind you. How fun.
So fun. So fun. Loving my daughter-in-law. Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm always so proud of people that do that. And it's like kind of maybe this thing that's in the back of my mind that I would love to do. And then I'm like, no, I keep pushing it away. So yeah, I think the courage and I'm just proud of people when they do it. So that's awesome.
Oh, thanks.
LeAnn's been on before, but LeAnn, I would love for you to share with people a little bit about you before we get started here.
Yeah. Well, I'm a master certified coach and a teacher. I help people create more fun and connection in their relationships with themselves and with others. And I love exploring the daughter-in-law, mother-in-law relationship. I think there's a ton to learn about from that. And so I have a podcast and a book called Love of My Daughter-in-Law. And I live in Georgia with my husband and my dog. We have 4 adult sons, 2 daughters-in-law, a grandson, and a granddaughter on the way. So super fun. Yeah.
Finally getting a little bit of female blood into that family.
Yes. This is going to rock our world. First girl is coming.
It is. Yes. I was going to say before, like, because you love to talk about the daughter-in-law relationship and you come by that naturally. Obviously, you are a daughter-in-law, but you have, and you're not all of your sons are married, correct?
Correct. Okay. Possibly 2 more. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. So you have plenty of daughter-in-laws or could have more daughter-in-laws to come. So
yes, exactly.
Well, this little baby doll girl that's coming into your family is going to be like a prized possession. All these boys are going to think it's awesome.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Well, LeAnn, I know you do like to focus a lot and love to talk about the daughter-in-law relationship. But we're going to talk a little bit more kind of about the mind, body, spirit connection, which obviously are in those relationships. But today we're kind of just specifically talking more about the mind, body, and spirit connection. So tell me about that. Like, how can that enhance our daily lives?
Well, I think this all started for me like years ago. My husband was telling our family about a stool, a stool that has 3 legs, and the 3 parts of the stool was the mind, the body, the spirit. And how when we kind of balance those out, us being the foundation, the seat per se, how helpful it is in connecting with those 3 things. And so as I have my own connection crew program and everything, really connection starts from within. It starts with us. And so just realizing that and noticing those three parts, the mind, the body, and spirit, is really impactful when we think about connection.
Mhm. I think it's so important to remember that there's a reason we came to earth, right? We
Mm,
already had spirit, but we needed to have a body. And
yes.
and so just that little snippet of doctrine, I think in and of itself tells us how important that connection is. Like there's a reason, and we have to figure out how to connect it all and use it all in a beautiful orchestra rather than thinking of them as totally different, separate things.
100%. I love that so much because they are connected. And when we
Hmm.
can think of them connected, it's totally different than just focusing on one area at a time. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
for sure. And obviously there can be weaknesses in one area and we need to focus a little bit more maybe in one area at certain times. But
For sure.
when we're letting them flow together, that's kind of when the magic happens.
Yes. Yes. I agree. Hmm.
So we do often experience kind of tension between the mind and the body and the spirit, and we'll prioritize one over another. I'm guilty of that all the time,
Hmm.
finding it to be more important to spend time doing this versus doing that. And how can we shift our perspective to see them as like interconnected allies versus, like separate things and kind of cultivate that relationship if you want to look at it as a relationship amongst those three things?
Yeah, yeah. I think just being aware of that and kind of back to the stool analogy, for me, when I can visualize that, if I have one area that I'm not working on or whatever, being completely lopsided and kind of losing my footing, my balance to be like, wait, how can I, create some more balance between the three? Is there something that I want to intentionally focus on with my mind? Or my body or my spirit? Is there something where I feel like I'm not really doing that? So I think just, incorporating them into a whole can be really helpful.
Hmm. This is making me think a little bit of a call we recently had at the end of the year. We were doing kind of a year in reflection call with the
Oh,
coaches. Were you on that call? I'm sitting here trying to think, were you?
I don't
Okay. I
think
don't think you
so.
were.
Yeah, I don't think I was there.
Anyway, we were talking about like certain areas in our lives, like mind and body, like friends and business and different areas and wins that we've had in those different areas
Uh-huh.
and things, milestones. And she said, I noticed that one of the things I did this year kind of connected a lot of these different areas together. So it was like I was
Mm,
with friends. She had gone backpacking or hiking or something. She's like, I was with friends. We had had great connection, great conversation. We were in God's country, right? We were out in
mm.
the wide open. My body was feeling physical exertion. She's like, and I think when I combine all of those things together, like there's something powerful about that. And I think that is
Oh,
probably a
yes.
really good visual of this very same thing, right? Like things become greater when we're able to all of these together.
Yes, yes. And that is a great visual too, just being out in nature and how that everything connects
Mhm.
as well. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. So for true connection to occur, of safety, this is in relationships in general, right? Like it's hard
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
connect with someone where you don't feel safe.
Hmm.
And while many people believe safety is created externally, right? Like they're
Hmm.
trying to avoid unsafe situations, it actually begins in our body. And I
Yes.
love one of my favorite teachers, and you've had experiences with her too, Amy Gianni, always says safety is in the body. And when I first heard
Mm.
that, I was like, I don't really quite understand that. But that's a statement that I almost tell myself almost every day because I'm a real head person. My brain is just
Uh,
going 100 miles a minute.
uh-huh.
And I have to remind myself, oh, safety's in the body. And I can literally feel myself when I drop into my body, just like
Yeah.
the relaxation of that when I can kind of drop in. Anyway, I'm getting
Hmm.
sidetracked, but the central nervous system it plays a key role in establishing that internal safety, right? As it regulates our responses to stress and helps us to feel
Hmm.
calm. But how can creating a sense of safety and calm within our bodies through the central nervous system positively influence our mind and our spirit. And to be clear, I think sometimes people confuse like central nervous system with feelings. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I know I
Yes,
was
yes.
guilty of that.
Uh-huh. Right.
So maybe we can
Yeah.
about that
Dive
just a
into that a
little
little
bit.
bit. Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm blessed right now to be in Leah Davidson's nervous system training and
Mm-hmm.
her resilience training. And I really didn't. I mean, before I learned all this life coach stuff, I didn't even know what a feeling was. I mean, I
Yeah.
just grew up with boys. I
Yeah.
just had boys. We didn't do any of that. And then being in this learning, like, what's a nervous system? What's all this about? It has just been amazing. So I love all the things I've been learning from Leah about this, but just also knowing when we're safe in our body, then we're so much more aware of what's happening in our mind, what we're thinking, as well as our spirit, and how we can hear and respond to personal revelation. So, those kinds of things, I think when we feel safe in our body, like you said, we can drop into our body and feel safe. And there's tons of different ways to do that. It just really helps that, just that safety is so helpful for us expanding our window of tolerance, being able to handle different things. That just creates more connection in all three of those areas, both, body, mind, and spirit, all of them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because when we're activated, when our nervous system is kind of flooded or activated, it's really hard to feel that safety and to do anything really. So I think that's
Yeah.
such a tremendous skill, is learning how to create that
Yeah,
safety.
exactly.
Um, and it is like the nervous system is the foundation of how we connect our body and our mind and our spirit. I understand you've created a PDF to kind of help people explore. Do you want to share a little bit about that with us?
Yes, yes. So I have a free connection blueprint, and basically it's a guide that gives you 3 simple steps to transform how you connect with yourself and others. And real connection really starts with from within. So this connection blueprint will help you be your own best friend, build real friendships, and embrace the magic in life. So if you want this, just go to my website, leannaustin.com, and click on Get the Connection Blueprint, and you got it. It's just a beautiful visual, and it has some great questions that you can ask yourself as you're practicing those skills of connecting with your spirit, your body, and your mind.
I really appreciate that one of those things you included in there was you can be your own best friend, and you followed it very quickly with, and you can strengthen your relationships with other people.
Mhm.
I think we don't understand that connection there, right? When we
Mhm.
can't love ourselves and be our own best friend, it's really hard to, well, I shouldn't say hard. We can have relationships with other people. We do, whether we have that strong relationship with ourselves or not. But something shifts in those relationships when we are able to connect with ourselves and we understand ourselves and we love ourselves. It gives us this greater capacity to love other people and to
It,
sit with people, I think, and to just let them
mhm.
be them and us be us. There's that it kind of takes that tension away of like feeling like, do I need to be more like they are in order to be in this relationship? Do I need to be, like you
Mhm.
learn so much more about how you can be. I mean, it just frees you up to, I think, be in a relationship
Yeah,
better.
and I think that's why, I mean, that's one of the basic commandments. I mean, there's really 3. Love God, love others, love me. Because when we
Hmm.
love ourselves, it's so much easier to love God and to love others. But when we
Hmm.
discount the, love thy neighbor as thyself, when we discount the ourselves, then it is more difficult to do that.
Hmm. Hmm. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, I guess. What would
Yeah.
you tell people? Like, what's one of the basic things if people are having a struggle just loving themselves, letting themselves be their own best friend? What is like, how would you even tell people to start down that path of creating that relationship?
Yeah, well, get my connection blueprint because that would be step one. And
Okay.
Just thinking about kind of what I've done and what has really been impactful for me this year to love myself more.
Mhm.
That's basically how I started my coaching journey. It was all about when I really learned to love me, it just helped in so many other aspects. And, there's lots of different ways that you can do that as far as, my light switch trick, turn on a light and tell yourself what you love about you. As far as that goes, there's basic things. But bringing this back to connection, I think it's when, for me at least, when I was really mindful of connecting with my mind, my body, and my spirit every day, even if it's just for like 30 seconds. It's like
Mhm.
I've started my day. I'm going to pray and read the scriptures. That is the first thing that I'm going to do every day. And so connecting with my spirit right off the bat and then
Mhm.
doing something, some type of exercise to connect with my body, and then doing something with my mind. How can I, what am I thinking about? Or how can I strengthen my mind? Or maybe it's a book or whatever. So just being really intentional about integrating those three things, and it doesn't take long. But I think that is creating that real connection from within and a love for ourselves that is really impactful.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you. I was going to ask you for some examples of those areas, and you just went right into it. I also think it's important to note that, prioritizing those things and giving them equal airtime doesn't always mean the same amount of actual time, right?
Yes,
Sometimes we
yes,
get confused
exactly.
and think, well, if
Mhm,
I'm spending this much time hiking or whatever it is I'm doing for physical connection, then that means I have to
mhm.
spend this much time doing that. And that's totally a
Yeah,
fallacy. And that can
exactly.
get us into trouble and keep us from doing any of it because we think, well, I don't have enough time to do all of those things.
Right, right. And that's a great point. And sometimes it's seriously like 30 seconds in one area. Hey, I don't
Mhm.
have time for anything except to read one verse of something or to
Mhm.
whatever, and that's totally fine. The
Yeah.
balance doesn't have to be like you said in the time. The
Yeah.
balance is just figuring out, okay, what works best for our own connection in our own lives and what do we want to focus on? Yeah.
I love it. Before we started recording, you had mentioned that there's a specific talk by Michelle Craig that you
Mhm.
love to reference. And I would appreciate if you could share a little bit of your thoughts on that with us.
Yes, yes. I love her. And this is from General Conference in 2019 called Spiritual Capacity. And she says, our souls long for a connection with our heavenly home. We want to feel needed and useful, but at times we struggle to distinguish between our own thoughts and the gentle impressions of the Spirit. Prophets, ancient and modern, have taught that if something invites and entices to do good, it comes from Christ. President Russell M. Nelson has extended a simple, powerful invitation. My beloved brothers and sisters, I plead with you to increase your spiritual capacity to receive revelation. Choose to do the spiritual work required to enjoy the gift of the Holy Ghost and hear the voice of the Spirit more frequently and more clearly. And I think that doing the spiritual work is connecting with our spirit daily. And however that works best for you. But when we're intentional and we choose to connect in whatever way daily with the spirit, it not only strengthens our spiritual connection, but it also strengthens our mind and our body connection.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't you think that our mind, I mean, our souls and God are so connected that when we are strengthening that relationship with him, we are also strengthening our relationship within our own selves, like our own intuition. And it's almost hard to separate that, right?
It
Like they are
is.
just so interconnected.
Mhm.
And I think that's one thing as I've come to learn and understand that has been really helpful for me just in my connection with my heavenly parents and in strengthening
Yes.
my own self relationship and trusting myself.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, so good.
Hmm.
Well, thank you for sharing that quote from her. I there's so much wisdom and knowledge out there. In fact, this morning as I was studying I was like, oh, there's this over here and there's this over here, like so many things that I wanted to study and try to connect with. And then like feeling overwhelmed, like, ooh, I want to create something that like combines all these different ideas and thoughts and share it with, the coaches that I work with. And then I was like, and then I got a little discouraged. Like there's so many
Mm,
things that I want to
mhm,
do and
mhm.
I'm not going to do all those things. But I just had
Right.
this quiet little thought come, yeah, that's not yours to do. Somebody
Yeah.
else, like that's somebody else's to
Yes.
do. And
Yeah.
anyway, I think that's one of the things that we get to remember. There's so much good
Yes.
out there that we can participate in, but we get to choose and that's not
Mhm.
all for us, there's so
Yes.
much good. So,
Yes. I love that so much too, because we often do get into that overwhelm. We got to do it all. And no, we
mhm.
don't.
Yeah,
How best can we connect with ourselves? And sometimes that's saying no to other things and giving other people opportunities to do
mhm,
stuff. I love that. Yeah.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
LeAnn, before we go, I know you did share with them where they could find your PDF that you created. And
Yes.
we'll
Yep.
link to that in their
Mhm.
show notes. But
Mhm.
tell people where else they can connect with you.
Yeah, you can go to my website, leannaustin.com, and I have a Connection Crew membership because I'm all about connection. And then I also have one-on-one coaching hybrid program where people can create more connection and fun with themselves, with their crew, with whatever. And then I have a Love of My Daughter-in-Law podcast and book as well. So,
Love it. Thank you
yeah.
so much.
Thank
And
you.
thank you to our audience for being here. We appreciate it. And, we would love at any time if you wanted to leave us a review or share this podcast with other people. It's just helps us spread the good news that we are always trying to share with other people. So thanks for being with me, LeAnn. And thank you to
Thank
our
you.
listeners once again.
Hey, we just wanted to thank you for spending part of your day here with us at Latter-day Life Coaches and being part of this conversation. Share this with your friends so that you can have a conversation with them on this topic as well. And as always, subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Have a good one, my friends.